In a small, picturesque town of Oakwood, Pennsylvania, nestled among tree-lined streets and well-kept suburban homes, one family's outward appearance of perfection would be shattered by a horrifying crime. The story of Sarah Thompson and the brutal murder of her husband Jason would unfold in ways no one could have predicted, a dark tale of manipulation, deceit, and cold-blooded ambition. Jason Thompson was a 38-year-old engineer, a loving father to 2 young children, and a reliable, hard-working husband. To the outside world, Jason and Sarah appeared to have it all: a beautiful home, successful careers, and a seemingly perfect marriage. Yet, beneath the surface of their idyllic life lay secrets that would eventually destroy everything. In 2007, Sarah Thompson would orchestrate the murder of her husband in a cold, calculated plot driven by nothing more than greed. Her plan was simple: remove the one obstacle standing in the way of her financial freedom. But her scheme would unravel in ways she never imagined, exposing her as a manipulative mastermind willing to sacrifice everything, even her own family, to secure the life she desired. This is the true story of Sarah Thompson's desperate pursuit of wealth, the tragic death of Jason Thompson, and the chilling investigation that brought the dark truth to light. Jason and Sarah's marriage was the picture of suburban success. They had met in college, where they quickly became inseparable. Jason was a quiet, reserved man, dedicated to his work and family. Sarah, on the other hand, was outgoing, charming, and appeared to be a devoted wife. They had 2 young children, a boy and a girl, who were the center of their world. To the outside world, they seemed like any other family living the American dream. The couple lived in a spacious, 2-story home on a tree-lined street in Oakwood, a neighborhood where everyone knew each other. They were active in their community, with Sarah volunteering at the local church and Jason often helping neighbors with home repairs. No one had reason to suspect that anything was wrong in their marriage. However, beneath this seemingly perfect life, cracks were beginning to form. Jason's work as an engineer had become increasingly demanding, requiring long hours at the office, while Sarah began to grow frustrated with their financial situation. Despite their comfortable life, they were deep in debt, an issue Sarah had kept hidden from Jason. The mounting pressure began to take its toll, and Sarah found herself growing restless. She wanted more: a bigger house, nicer cars, the freedom to travel, and the luxury that seemed to slip further from her grasp with each passing day. She was no longer content with the life she had, and as the debts piled up, Sarah became consumed by the idea of escape. Little did Jason know, his wife's desire for a better life would soon push her to commit an unspeakable act. By early 2007, Sarah was ready to take drastic measures. She had already been researching life insurance policies for months, looking for a way to secure a financial windfall in the event of Jason's death. It didn't take long for Sarah to realize that her husband's life insurance policy, which had been in place for years, could provide her with more than enough money to clear their debts and live the life she had always dreamed of. The policy, worth over $500,000, named Sarah as the sole beneficiary. Jason had signed the papers years ago without question, trusting his wife implicitly. Sarah, however, had a plan, one that didn't involve waiting for natural causes to take their toll. She began to lay the groundwork for a scheme to murder her husband. But Sarah knew she couldn't do it alone. She needed help, someone who could carry out the dirty work without asking too many questions. It was at this point that Sarah reached out to Alex Jordan, a local handyman who had worked on their home in the past. Alex was a troubled man with a criminal record, someone who had served time in prison for assault. He wasn't the type of man anyone would expect Sarah to associate with, but their relationship was more than just a business one. As Sarah began to confide in Alex, she realized that he was vulnerable to manipulation. Alex, desperate for money and a way to escape his own problems, became an easy target. Sarah promised him a share of the life insurance money in exchange for his assistance in carrying out the murder. She fed him stories of how Jason was emotionally distant, how he was often neglectful, and how Sarah was unhappy in their marriage. Alex, believing that helping Sarah would not only make him wealthy but also give him a way out of his own troubled life, agreed to the plan. They would kill Jason and make it look like a robbery gone wrong. On the night of May 2, 2007, Sarah and Alex put their plan into motion. Jason had just returned home from a long day at work, unaware that his life was about to be cut short. Sarah, who had already been in contact with Alex, set the stage for the murder. She made sure that Jason would be in bed by the time Alex arrived, ensuring that he would be asleep and vulnerable. At around 3 a.m., Alex crept into the Thompson home through an unlocked back door, just as Sarah had planned. He made his way upstairs to the master bedroom, where Jason lay sleeping. Sarah, who was already awake, pretended to be asleep when Alex entered the room. She had set the scene perfectly, ensuring that there would be no signs of forced entry. Alex approached the bed and, without hesitation, attacked Jason. The struggle was brief but violent, with Jason fighting for his life. But Alex was stronger, and soon, Jason lay motionless. There were no signs of trauma on his body, but he had been suffocated, the life drained from him in a cruel, deliberate act. Afterward, Sarah pretended to wake up in a panic, claiming she had found her husband's lifeless body. She called 911, her voice trembling with what seemed like genuine distress. When paramedics arrived at the scene, they found Jason already dead. There were no signs of a struggle in the house, no forced entry, and no obvious cause of death. At first, authorities suspected a robbery gone wrong. But there were several things that didn't add up. Jason's wallet, credit cards, and other valuables were untouched. The home appeared to be undisturbed, and there was no evidence of anyone else having been there. The investigators immediately began to question the circumstances surrounding Jason's death. Detective John Harris, the lead investigator, was quick to sense that something wasn't right. Sarah's behavior during the initial interviews struck him as odd. She was upset, of course, but there was a certain level of calmness about her demeanor that raised red flags. Detective Harris later recalled, "There was a lot of emotion, but something felt off. It wasn't what we typically see in cases like this." A woman who had just lost her husband, especially in such a violent manner, would usually be more distraught, but Sarah kept her composure in a way that didn't sit well with me. As the investigation continued, detectives began to dig into the Thompson family's financial records. What they uncovered was both shocking and incriminating. Sarah had taken out a life insurance policy on Jason just months before his death. The policy was substantial, over $500,000, and Sarah was the sole beneficiary. But that wasn't all. Police found evidence that Sarah had been transferring large sums of money into secret bank accounts, money that had come directly from Jason's account. It became clear that Sarah had been planning this for some time. The financial motive was undeniable. The key breakthrough in the investigation came when police uncovered phone records showing numerous conversations between Sarah and Alex in the weeks leading up to Jason's murder. Forensic experts were able to trace the calls and texts, revealing that Sarah and Alex had been in constant communication, discussing the details of the plan. They had planned everything meticulously, down to the smallest details, in order to make Jason's death look like a robbery gone wrong. The final piece of the puzzle came when investigators learned that Alex Jordan had a criminal history, including a previous conviction for assault. He was the type of person who would be willing to carry out such a violent act in exchange for money. It wasn't long before Alex was arrested for his role in Jason's murder. When Sarah Thompson was arrested, the community was in shock. No one could believe that the seemingly perfect wife and mother could be capable of such a horrific crime. The media descended on Oakwood, and the case became a national sensation. People were appalled by the cold, calculated nature of Sarah's plot, and the details of her betrayal stunned even the most seasoned detectives. During her interrogation, Sarah initially denied any involvement in her husband's death. But the evidence against her was overwhelming. When confronted with the phone records and financial transactions, Sarah's facade began to crumble. She eventually confessed to orchestrating Jason's murder, admitting that she had planned everything from the beginning. She had manipulated Alex into helping her, and together, they had killed Jason for the life insurance money. Sarah's trial began in 2008, and it was a media circus. The prosecution painted her as a woman driven by greed, a mother who was willing to kill her husband for money, with no regard for the consequences. The defense, however, tried to argue that Sarah had been manipulated by Alex, claiming she was not fully in control of her actions. But the jury wasn't convinced. On April 16, 2008, Sarah Thompson was convicted of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Alex Jordan was also convicted and received a 30-year sentence for his role in the crime. The murder of Jason Thompson left a hole in the lives of his children, who were forced to grow up without their father. They were left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives, knowing that their mother had played a central role in their father's death. The case remains a haunting reminder of how greed and manipulation can drive people to commit unimaginable acts. For Sarah Thompson, the desire for money and a better life led her down a dark path, one that destroyed her family and cost her everything. As for Oakwood, the town that had once been the epitome of suburban perfection, it would never be the same. The shocking truth about Sarah's actions would linger long after the trial ended, leaving everyone to question just how far someone would go for wealth and power. What would drive someone to betray the trust of their closest loved ones so deeply? Could you imagine uncovering such shocking secrets in a seemingly perfect family? Share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about Sarah's chilling choices? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more gripping true crime stories that uncover the darker side of human nature. Stay tuned for the next twist.